Thank you everyone for joining us today. This is the AGSM MBA full-time information webinar. My name is Bianca. I'm part of the AGSM MBA recruitment and admissions team, and I'll be your host today. In a moment, we'll have a presentation focusing on the MBA full-time program delivered by Dr. Michelle Roberts, AGSM Academic Director, followed by a Q&A chat session. Thanks, Michelle. Over to you.
Thanks, Bianca. So hopefully you can all see my screen. Bianca, do let me know if it drops out. But just while the last couple of people come into the room, I'm just going to run a video about AGSM, give you a little bit more information about the last few come in.
I'm Emma Weston and I'm the CEO and a co-founder at AgriDigital. When I look back at my career, I would never have thought that I'd be where I am now. I think there's a perfect serendipity to the way that my career has panned out. I started off life as a lawyer. I then moved into the agricultural industry. I became fascinated by technology and by the practical application of technology. So, really the journey for AgriDigital began years and years ago, even though the company's only 3 years old now. We want to actually fundamentally change the way global agri-supply chains work. We know there are a series of problems in the way that our food is produced, in the way that our supply chains work, and we believe that emerging technology can solve for that, and that's what we're going to do. When I was at AGSM, I realised that actually I want to be in charge of my own destiny, and that doesn't necessarily mean being an entrepreneur or being a founder, but it meant that I needed to be contributing in a way that was meaningful for me. If you're decided and you're committed to doing an MBA, there couldn't be a better place to do it than in Sydney. And at AGSM, it's a school that's committed to the strength of the individual. It's committed to emerging technology, to an ethos of entrepreneurialism and to supporting founders in particular. And whether that's going back into a corporate or founding your own business, the school's just perfect for that type of ethos. In today's accelerated world, in order to make an impact, we actually need to be able to make good, quick decisions. And that's part of what an MBA gives you. It gives you the frameworks, the tools, and the ability to actually make snap decisions, but to make them with conviction.
Okay, so welcome to our information session this evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for putting a bit of time aside to share with us. So I look after the full-time MBA at UNSW, and it's my pleasure just to tell you a little bit about our MBA program this evening. So let's just talk a little bit about how an MBA might fit into your life. And I should let you know that we have time for Q&A at the end. So make a note of any questions that you might have as I go through this, and we can answer all your questions afterwards. So obviously a lot of you will know a lot about an MBA already. So I'll jump to how AGSM might be able to help you in this case. So in terms of accelerating your career or changing to a new career, a full-time MBA is really designed to do that. So it's designed to accelerate your career, but also, to help people who are moving into a different functional area, such as finance or consulting or social impact, social ventures. So if you're interested in a bit of a pivot into a different sector or a different role, then an MBA at AGSM could help you. And MBA at AGSM certainly has wonderful networks. We're one of the oldest, we are the oldest MBA in Australia and one of the oldest MBAs in the world. We have a wonderful network of alumni all around the world, and I'll show you a bit of a map with them on at the end. Obviously, it's going to give you that sort of confidence and executive presence, and right from orientation, you'll find that you're working with actors, voice coaches, and people that can really help you have the skills that you need to, secure the next role or promotion in your organization. So we know that the main reason people do a full-time MBA is for career development. And so we have got probably Australia's largest career development centre. We have 6 full-time members of staff, dedicated MBA career specialists, and a team of adjuncts is attached to the centre, specialising in different industry sectors and in preparing you to get a role there. So we have a very extensive offering. We also at AGSM, in addition to the face-to-face coaching that you get, and in our full-time program, you will be meeting with them individually every week. You'll constantly be being coached and advised and prepared for your next career step. But we also at AGSM have a remarkable suite of online career support. So we use AI, and so that you haven't got to wait till 9 a.m. to be able to meet with a careers officer. You can just, run your resume through our AI platform, and you'll instantly get feedback. Or we have a crowdsourced mentoring platform with our own alumni. You can jump on and ask a question and get advice from the alumni. So there's a really wonderful kind of omni-channel career service there with the virtual opportunities, and then very intensive individual coaching as well. And there's some of the career partners. Obviously, you know that the world's top companies, Uber, Google, McKinsey, all hire from the school. Now, one of the things that is very, very special about AGSM, so I'll just take a second to tell you about this, is our global exchange opportunities. So do jump on our website and find out more about these, but about 50% to 70% of our full-time cohort will spend a quarter of their MBA at one of the exchange schools. And the way that works is that obviously you've joined us in January, you'll spend a whole year with us, and then about half of you, a little bit more, will leave us at Christmas, and then you won't come back. You'll go on exchange and you'll finish off your degree with this wonderful exchange experience. And obviously AGSM is known for having the world's best exchange partners. We have Chicago Booth, Kellogg, Wharton, NYU Stern, London Business School, and wonderful schools throughout Asia. And so you do one term as part of their full-time cohort, and that's 3 of your elective courses. Equally, if you don't go on exchange, that's wonderful too, because half your cohort will swap out and be replaced by folks from other schools who will come in and join us. So that's nice, because all of a sudden, half your cohort's refreshed with lots of people with American accents usually. Now, we have a huge global footprint at AGSM, and we try to get all of our students to have an experience at a school overseas. So even if you don't do traditional exchange, you will very likely do either a study tour or one of our global network weeks. Indeed, if you do exchange, you might still do one of our global network weeks or a study tour as well. You can do both. So the Global Network for Advanced Management is very unique in that there are only, I think there's 20 schools in the world, and they're the world's leading schools, one school in each country. And the network is run by Yale University, and it has a number of benefits for the students at AGSM. What it means is that 3 times a year, all the schools in the network will create one intensive course in 1 week. And so it's actually on next week. Next week. And so you can go to, Oxford University for 1 week to do one of their courses, UC Berkeley, Yale, IE, and you'll do an elective in a classroom of students from the schools in the network. So incredible individuals to spend the week with, and huge social, cultural experiences built into the week. So it's enormous fun. And it's also kind of a real ultimate hack as well. If you want to do internships and, sort of networking and lots of extra things, then getting one elective done in 1 week is a really nice way to do it and free up your schedule for the rest of the term. Through the Global Network for Advanced Management, we also have the Master of Advanced Management, and that's a double degree with Yale. So a lot of our full-time students are interested in this. It's the 3rd year that we've been in the network, so the 3rd year it's been running. And in this year's cohort, we have 3 students out of 54, I think we have 50. And we have 3 students going. So that gives you an idea of what kind of proportion might leave us to go and do the Yale degree. And what that means is you join us in January, you do 2 terms with us, and that's all of your core courses. And then you leave us in August and you go straight across to Yale and you do all of your electives at Yale. And you graduate at the same time as your own cohort, so it doesn't take any longer, and you get both degrees, Yale's Master of Advanced Management and AGSM's MBA. Then, and I should say there is an additional cost of that, obviously, payable to Yale. And it is a cohort on-campus experience, so pretty incredible opportunity to get into one of the world's top 10 schools. The other way you might benefit from a global experience is if you do one of our study tours. So we have essentially their tech treks, their technology tours, one to Silicon Valley and one to China. And rankings are obviously important to you. We know this. All of AGSM's MBA programs are ranked in the top programs in the world. We've always been ranked in the top programs in the world ever since the rankings began. So there's some of our current rankings. Now let me tell you a little bit more, have a quick time check. Okay, so a really important thing we know for a lot of you are scholarships. So let me talk you through the scholarship portfolio. So the first thing is that you don't have to apply for a scholarship at AGSM. You're automatically considered. So that makes life a little bit easier. The only exception to those are if you are a domestic student. If you have Australian citizenship, you can apply for Luminous. Luminous is our top scholarship. And that comes with a full fee waiver. Your exchange place at Wharton is guaranteed. You'll do an internship in New York, and you'll have a stipend for your study, for your exchange in New York. The other scholarships that we do have a Moutai scholarship coming on for students in China, and that is by application at the end of the year. Apart from that, the Global Reach scholarships are the scholarships that we use to ensure that we get the most wonderfully diverse cohort from around the world. So if you are if you're from a unique country in the cohort, then you'll have a chance of winning the Global Reach scholarship. So, you know, if you're joining us from Mongolia today, then the chances are good for you. But really, you want to be thinking about a Global Reach scholarship if you're from a country that might not normally be represented in the cohort. The Excellence scholarships are based largely, but not entirely, largely on GMAT. So to win an Excellence scholarship, you need to have a high GMAT score. Now, I will tell you that our average GMAT in the current cohort is 684. So you would want to be getting above that to get an Excellence scholarship. And I will also say it's very normal for people when they're applying to retake the GMAT 2 or 3 times. And I think we're going to see a lot of that this year. So don't feel stressed about GMAT. You can apply now. Even if you don't have your GMAT yet and you're still preparing for GMAT, you can apply now, and then we'll work with you until your GMAT score comes in later in the year. But you will need a high GMAT for those Excellence scholarships. Then we have our Leadership Excellence scholarships, and that's where we tap into talent pools that are underrepresented in traditional leadership pipelines. So entrepreneurs, if you're a founder, if you're working for a rapidly growing startup, we can consider you for the Leadership Excellence Entrepreneurship Scholarship. Members of the LGBTI community. So we have several members of the LGBTI community each year who win a scholarship. Elite athletes, if you're an elite athlete with a national or international presence, you might be lucky in being considered for a sports scholarship. Or we have scholarships for those who've served. So if you've served in the Defence Force, then we also have scholarships that we can consider you for. Finally, we have our scholarships for women. So you might have heard that AGSM is one of only a handful of programs in the world that has gender equality. So if you're female, then we can certainly look at whether we can support you with a Women in Leadership or an Emerging Female Leadership Scholarship. And that's for women who are high achieving and they've achieved a lot of rapid professional success and have strong academic results. So here's a little bit about the structure of the program. You can see that you'll join us in January. You actually join us for a week of intensive orientation activity. That's followed by 2 weeks of Foundations of Management. And that's a very, very intense experience at AGSM. That's where we bring in the actors and we bring in, you have several days of problem solving taught to you by the former head of McKinsey here in Australia, Rob McLean. He's also the former dean of AGSM. But he spends a few days with you and he teaches you the McKinsey problem solving method, bulletproof problem solving. And then, you're coached in communication skills, in teamwork, in leadership. And then we go and spend a week in the Australian bush together, actually 3 days in the Australian bush in an incredible high impact outdoor sort of adventure really. And I can tell you more about that later if you're interested. Then we have term 1 with 4 core courses, term 2 with 4 core courses. That's just you with your cohort all together. Then a few of you will leave us to go to Yale at that point. Then term 3, then you join the part-time students, our MBA executive students for electives. And we do that for one very simple reason, and that is that they will help you get jobs. So our MBA executive students, you really want to network with that group. They're an extraordinary group. And so you get to do your electives with them and be in team projects with them. And that's also term 3 where you're doing GNAM weeks, you're doing study tours, you're doing internships, you've got your strategic consulting projects running with industry. And then we break for Christmas and then you come back and join us for your 3 electives and chances to do more internships and strategic consulting projects. Or obviously for half of you, you'll go and join one of our study tour international partners. Okay, and then of course we have MBA extension, which is the extension is for people who would like to remain in Australia longer and have a chance to work in Australia after their MBA. So let me tell you a little bit about the people in our school. So the 92 adjuncts, I think, is always really an interesting one. So at AGSM, we have practitioners teaching your classes. So we partner up world-class academics. Obviously, UNSW is ranked one of the 50 top universities in the world. And so the academics at the business school are absolutely stellar. And then they are collaborating with industry partners and practitioners to write your courses and to deliver your courses. So we have people teaching for us who, so if I think about the full-time program this term, we have Yuren teaching you data, and he's at Google. He's the Australia Pacific Marketing Manager of Google. And he's on sabbatical from Google for a term to teach the full-time students data. And then as we move through into term 3 next term, with the electives, we have people who've taught, people who've worked for McKinsey teaching strategy. We have a current partner at NOUS, Strategy Consulting Group teaching strategy. We have someone from Macquarie Bank teaching finance. So really extraordinary practitioners. So stellar faculty teaching on our courses. So a little bit about the students. In the last few minutes, there you'll see that we've got gender equality. We're very proud of that. It creates a wonderful atmosphere in the cohort. It feels like a very sort of warm, strong community and a really lovely community to be part of. You'll also notice that the age of entry is pretty high. That's significantly higher than particularly the US schools. And that's, 31 on entry. So you're getting 8 years of work experience. So you're learning a huge amount from each other in all of the projects that you're working on together. And in the student clubs are a big part of life at AGSM. You're getting to benefit from each other's experiences and knowledge. You can see there that average GMAT of 686. You can see that just over half of our cohort are Aussies, which is nice because they've got great networks here in Australia that they can introduce you to, and they know all the best restaurants and bars. And then we've got 18 other countries represented in the cohort. So it does feel like a little bit of a United Nations, and we really leverage that and cherish that to have such a wonderful global community. Here's a little bit about our alumni. So as you can see, we've got 17,000 MBA alumni, but we've also got 250,000 UNSW alumni. So wherever you are in the world, you'll be engaging with the alumni chapter, which is a UNSW alumni chapter, not just an AGSM, not even just a business school, but you're bound to find that there's an alumni group wherever you are in the world for UNSW.